From Brazil, Costa Rica, to Chile, Venezuela, to Cuba, Colombia, Guatemala, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, to Spain, Ecuador, to Mexico. Him for sure. Texas. They all say the same thing. Fuego. Muy caliente, I'm so fuego. Muy caliente, I'm so fuego. You play with my money, that's no bueno. I know. You get hit with that fuego, fuego, fuego. I'm fuego. I'm so fuego. Repasado, maybe blanco, maybe anejo. Hasta luego. She do what I say, so you said por qué? Cause I'm fuego. I like Tahin and I send my horchata. He don't have my money, we catch him mañana. They talking shit, I don't care for the caca. We split his coconut, pina colada. Bad little mama and she call me papa. My money not funny, I make her go haha. She call me papa, no call me papi. I look in her eyes and say, I key, yeah. Talk to the sister, I talk to the friend. Talk to the friend, I talk to the friend. They talk about nada, I go to cousin. We have problemo, I'm calling Diego. I set up Nick Queso, no mano y mano. It's okay, I got that fire. You see Diablo. Fuego. Muy caliente, I'm so fuego. Muy caliente, I'm so fuego. You play with my money, that's no bueno. I know. You get hit with that fuego, fuego, fuego. I'm fuego.
Fuego. What's going on? What's going on? What's popping with you, man? What's going on? This your boy Mufasa. Yeah, man, we in the building, man. Y'all won't believe what is going on. Yeah, man, what's going on with y'all? Y'all hit that like button on the way in. We jumping right into it, baby. We jumping right into it, man. Look, hey, I done had a weekend with the blizzard. And guess what, man? Your boy been snowed in. That's right. Your boy been snowed in, as you would say, all the way in. That's all right. That's all right. But we here now. We here now, man. Salute to everybody in the building. Look, you see what's popping. Hurricane. What's going on with you, dog? Yeah, man. Yeah. What's going on, man? We got some breaking news, baby. Yeah, y'all know what time it is, baby. Breaking news. We're going to get right around to it. You know what I mean? If y'all can, hit that like button, support the stream. You know, support the stream. And yeah, man. You know what I mean? We going to be going all around. Going all around the globe. See what in the world going on, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. We got a lot of stuff going on, man, right? So hey, we gonna get ready to jump right into it and see what it is. First, Trump name files come back up in the Epstein. Yep, that's right. Let's get right to it.
Hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through, we've gone through years of it.
Just to be clear, Christopher Wray was the president's pick for FBI director that he put into that job. This also comes as we're learning for the first time about Jeffrey Epstein's contact with Elon Musk. You may remember Elon Musk dropped what he described as a really big bomb last year when he said Trump was in the Epstein files, and that was the real reason that they had not been made public. Well, it turns out, based on what we saw today, Musk is also in the Epstein files. Emails show that he tried coordinating multiple visits to Jeffrey Epstein's private island. In one from 2013, Elon Musk asked Jeffrey Epstein, when should we head to your island? The year before, he said, what day night would be the wildest party on your island? Now, this is after Musk claimed, in all caps, I should note, last year that, quote, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island, and I refused.
What?
Musk's representatives did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment or explanation for those emails and that contact. And speaking of distancing and denial, recall what President Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said just last year about a 2005 encounter that he had with Epstein at his Manhattan townhouse.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. And in the 6 or 8 steps
God
it takes to
damn.
get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Okay, so that was 2005. Files released today show that Howard Lutnick tried to meet or call with Epstein several times after 2005, much longer after. A 2011 email to Jeffrey Epstein from his assistant reads, Howard Lutnick...
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your
Damn,
domain
man.
name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With
Ain't that
Wix, you can
something?
grab yours now and then get to
So
work.
guess what? Your boy Elon, you know, he's in the news. Your boy Trump is in it.
for
Look at
Hillary
it.
Clinton that he was hosting. Asked for comment on these emails and the correspondence between the two, a spokesperson for the Commerce Department told CNN Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing. My lead source tonight to start us off.
Oh, they scrambling, folks.
The former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Ellie Honig.
See
And
what they
Ellie,
got
it's a
to say.
lot of information that we were looking through today. I just wonder right off the bat, what has stood out to you the most?
There is a draft indictment in these 3 million pages, about 55, 56 pages, from the Southern District of Florida. Sometimes it's not dated precisely, in the mid-2000s, that would have charged Jeffrey Epstein with serious federal crimes, plus 3 other co-conspirators. Their names are redacted. And to me, that's the document that's most interesting to me. There's a snippet from it, because it points up the key question, which is, why was Jeffrey Epstein given such a sweetheart deal back in 2007 by the U.S. Attorney's Office? And secondarily, how could it be that still to this day, the only 2 people ever charged have been Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? How about all the other people who helped them run this operation? We still don't have those answers.
Well, so it's Jeffrey Epstein and 3 others. I mean, presumably, let's say we're guessing, we don't know this, one of them is Ghislaine Maxwell. Who are the other 2?
Right, a good question. And to that point, I've been stamping my feet about this. I'll continue to do this. DOJ has not abided by this law, the Epstein Transparency Act, the same law that passed almost unanimously in Congress, the same law that Donald Trump signed into law. That law says DOJ has to turn over their internal deliberative memos, their back and forth in-house. Now, normally you wouldn't turn.
Oh, y'all think they're gonna do it? I don't know. Y'all think the Trump DOJ gonna do that?
We are abiding by what we call the deliberative
2,000
process.
videos.
Here's what the law says. The law says DOJ must turn over internal DOJ communications, including emails, memos, meeting notes concerning decisions to charge, not charge, investigate, or decline to investigate Epstein or his associates. That's the law. Todd Blanche has said, no, thank you. We're invoking this thing called the deliberative process privilege, which exists, but the law says you don't get to use here. And as a result, we are not seeing those behind-the-scenes memos.
Well, and Thomas Massey wrote this law basically to make sure that they could not get through those loopholes.
Exactly.
I mean, so they're not
did it
only
anyway.
behind on the law.
Get the hell out of
They're
here.
way past the deadline. You're saying they're not complying fully.
Yeah, I mean, look, they missed the deadline by 40 days. They shouldn't have. That's embarrassing, but that's fine. This is a bigger deal, because why do we have this law? Why is everyone so interested? What's the point? The main point to me is, who else could have been criminally liable, and maybe who else could be still prosecuted now?
Okay, so when it comes to what I mentioned, this
Some big
summary,
names in this
basically,
shit,
the
I
allegations
guarantee
that were
you
made
it.
against President Trump, is it clear why the FBI would have put that together last August?
It's not. I've asked FBI in these large multi-victims cases, I've said, hey, guys, like, there's so much coming in. Can you put it together for me in some sort of comprehensive way? But that's when I was trying to make a case. If this was done just this last August, I'm not sure why. I mean, interesting, that's the document that has a lot of the most inflammatory accusations, many of them uncorroborated.
So Trump said, "Yeah, I'm gonna pass that law," but I ain't paying no attention to that shit. Ain't that
I
crazy?
think it's up now. So I'm not sure why they created it, but now we have it.
I mean, it's remarkable when you go to
Nobody
the
agrees.
website to look at these documents, and if someone's watching and they haven't done that so far, I mean, it asks you if you're 18 or
Yeah.
older to
Yeah.
look at these documents
You have to
because of
click
what's
on
in
that.
here.
Yeah, and look, to their credit, they're late, but we now have most of the Epstein files, and you can word search it. So if you want to see Lutnick, to use an example you just led with, you can enter Lutnick, and it will give you the results that mention that name. So there is some use to this, but I'm just pointing up one of the key omissions that still exists.
One big thing were these 302s, which, you know, we kind of use that term a lot, but it's
The hell is a
basically written
302?
documentation of an interview that someone has done. Because you mentioned unverified or secondhand. I mean, I think back to the Farmer sisters who complained to the FBI about Jeffrey Epstein so long ago.
Right.
and it went nowhere. It was basically just ignored, even though we saw in the last release that they did get it. I mean, when you say unverified or uncorroborated, I mean, my question is, did they even try to verify it or try to corroborate it?
The Farmer sisters go back to 1996, if I'm remembering that right. We learned that from a prior drop. Yeah, the 302s are the official FBI written memos. And I think that's a very fair question that we need to ask. Okay, you see what the allegations are. You can't necessarily take all of them absolutely at face value. But the question we need to ask is, okay, you've got not just this one allegation, but dozens upon dozens. What was the follow-up? And was there any meaningful effort, or was there willful blindness? Was there an ostrich burying its head in the sand? I mean, there certainly was in 2007. I think that's clear when they got the softball deal. But how about since then? And what does that tell us about whether there's any realistic chance of charges moving forward?
Yeah, one thing that we were talking about is...
Hey, y'all see Trump, Musk, Bill Clinton, and Howard Lutnick.
The actual Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is there doing this. But, we just heard from them not that long ago saying they'd released less than 1%. Now today they came out with these documents, said this is all we're going to be releasing. This is the last batch you're getting. What did that say to you when you heard that?
Well, two things. One, I think Todd Blanche is serving as a bit of a heat shield here for Pam Bondi because she has a dreadful record on this, including way back when she said she had certain files on her desk and we'd be seeing them tomorrow. Over the summer, remember, July of 25, Pam Bondi came out with an official statement that there's no more documents to be produced, no more charges to be had, nothing more to see here. So she's all over the map on this. The timing is bizarre to me. In early 3 weeks ago, DOJ said, we've given you 1% of the documents, and now 3 weeks later, they've somehow gone through the other 99%. I guess I give them credit for accelerating this, but it's been an uneven process.
Yeah, I mean, and Todd Blanche said today, I mean, he was praising...
Crazy, man. Crazy. Looked up Epstein files, man. You know what I mean? Think about that, man, but don't worry about it. Like I said, we going to get back to it. You know what I mean? Right, like I said, right now, we going to get back to it, man. we going to get back to it. You know what I mean? And hey, crazy, right? You know what I mean? Crazy. And it it's these Epstein files, man. We don't know whether they're coming, whether you going. Right? You don't know whether you're coming, you don't know whether you're going. So hey, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to see what's going on. All right. Now, hey, man, we're going to go on over to this weather, man. Let's take a look at this weather. Yep, we're going to move on around. It's been a blizzard.
Maybe something in about a week we'll have to see, and then eventually this Arctic air is going to get out of the way. We hope.
See, I'm in North Carolina. Yeah, we got about 8 inches, man. So, yeah, a lot of records going on, right?
So we flip the pattern, and we can get some snow out west where we desperately need it.
Hill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
It's going to be tough to do in the short term. We know for a fact the cold air, that necessary ingredient will be there. I'm saying, Mark, through Valentine's Day, be warm in your heart, because if you're in the eastern part of the country, you're not going to be warm anywhere else.
Valentine's Day, that's 2 weeks.
Thank you, as always, for the videos. And this was a home game. Game for you. It was great to see that. Drawing back to those memories from the 80s. Mark Sudduth, as always, thank you. And stay warm in the short term.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Ian.
You too. Let's take a live look now. That's Greenville, North Carolina. 33 degrees. It feels like it's 26. Got a bunch of that fresh snow around. West wind at 6 miles per hour, making it feel colder. Just one of the spots getting slammed by this massive winter storm. At least they did.
That's Greenville over there with Bino and the boys, man. You know what I mean? Over in the 252, Greenville, North Carolina.
From the Tar Heel State. Haley, isn't it kind of weird? I know we've talked at length.
Now 33 is warm. This is the warmest it's been in about 4 days. We actually got a break today. 33 in Greenville.
From here, way far off to the south. I went through that last year when I flew to Virginia Beach, and they got over a foot of snow. It just feels a little bit backwards.
I'll tell you what, at least New Orleans didn't have more snow than New York City this year.
Great point.
I will take that as a win. But it was actually funny. Speaking of New
Damn,
Orleans,
y'all know that?
Katie Campbell, she posted on her Instagram recently that she's done more winter storm coverage in the south than she has up north in January, at least in the month of January. She's like, this
That's
feels
crazy.
just backwards. And it is. This is a generational type snow event. This is not usual, although we've had multiple unusual snow events down south. The one thing that was a little more common was last weekend's snowstorm. Ice storms, they're somewhat common, especially in the state of Mississippi. I lived through one back in 2021, and then Oxford going through it now still, lots of people without power. I got tired of the ice hill, and I wanted to show what the actual powdery snow looks like. And these are some of the snowbanks. I mean,
yep, I was shoveling the snow this morning, y'all.
Deep. My knee's about here. I know it's hard to tell with these pants, but I mean, this is a good.
Yeah, I was shoveling the snow this morning. I'm about an hour from Greenville, an hour southwest of Greenville. So if I go northeast, I'll run right into Greenville. I was shoveling the snow this morning. I had to shovel my spot in front of my storefront and my parents' house. So I know, I'm telling you.
Deep, my foot really wants to go. I mean, Greenville, big time overperformer. Now, initially we were thinking about going to Raleigh, North Carolina. That was our first assignment that was listed to us about 4 days ago, give or take. And we flew out to Raleigh, and we were a little bit skeptical of the models. The high resolution models were showing that there was going to be a dry slot that set up. Raleigh had a high potential. They could have seen this amount of snow like we have in Greenville, or they could get hardly anything. And unfortunately, they were the hardly anything batch. And so we made that call early
what up?
Saturday morning, and we said, we got to go further to the east. We didn't have to go far. It's only an hour and a half drive out to Greenville. And so I'm glad we did. We ended up hitting one of the jackpot spots in North Carolina. Top snow report, though, was out of Faust, North Carolina, which is up into the mountains. So it was really a two-pronged threat with the deepening trough swinging in, bringing the Arctic air and prompting all that snow for the mountains. And then that met up with this coastal storm, this budding nor'easter. And it was a combination of the two that made this big time boom, Ian. So a lot of smiling faces here in Greenville specifically, especially because school and work are canceled tomorrow. That may have to be extended.
Yeah, the kiddos is out there making the snow, man. They was all over the place, man. So trust me, I got a 4x4.
The middle of the week, likely. And Haley gave us that great live report. David Rubin in the booth. All he saw was that car as a Giants license plate, the New York Football Giants. So they're suffering. They're suffering from the tri-state all the way down to the Carolinas.
Damn,
sun never sets on the suffering. Haley, we'll be checking back with you in a little bit. Thank you. Up next, she just showed us the depth of that snow. The Carolinas are digging out from this massive blast of winter weather. We'll take you live on the ground as we continue to track the storm. Fox Weather continues our extended coverage of this nor'easter. Ari Sarsalari and the Fox Weather at Night team, they're coming up at 8 p.m. They'll keep it rolling throughout the evening and beyond. Stay with us right here on Fox Weather.
Yeah, man. So, so as you see,
don't have much, just so
as you see, it's a lot going on, man. But you know what I mean? But guess what else is going on? You know what I mean? Guess what else is going on? The Grammys. That's right. Yep, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Grammys, man. We're gonna look at it just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That category evolve. We're seeing poets come, use it to speak about social issues, using it to speak about broader issues as well in terms of mental health. What has that meant to you to see that?
Well, I mean, words are powerful, you know, and that's another example of how powerful they are. Whether you're speaking it or singing it or writing it, you could enter.
Yes, the Grammys are tonight. All right, you got a lot of people in the house, a lot of black people in the house, a lot of like I said, a lot of talented people, man. But the Grammys, just so you know what's going on, the Grammys are tonight. I don't know if y'all want to look at it. Some of you might, some of you might not. CeeLo Green and Anthony
appreciate about you is your ability to not be in a box, put in a box. What allows you to always be your authentic self, whether it's your solo work, whether it's Lars Barkley, whether it's, you know, just starting out, you've always been able to be you.
He's incredible.
Now, see, that means so much coming from this this accomplished gentleman standing to my left. This is the incomparable Anthony Hamilton, such a wonderful voice. I want to praise you the way that I should in public, you know, and in the press. You know what I mean? Like, and you do look sharp tonight, and I'm not doing too bad myself. And so to answer your question, yeah, I think, you know, there's an enigmatic, you know, character to me, and you know, I want to just be all inclusive. You know what I mean? I love the arts. You know what I'm saying? Like the interpretive arts. I mean, like, and I want to be an embodiment.
Yeah, I knew some of y'all didn't even know the Grammys was going on tonight. I know you didn't. I know you didn't, but that's fine. That's why me and Sporty's here. We here to inform you. So yeah, some of the Grammys is going on, and yeah, you know, some of you like it, some of you don't. But hopefully, man, we can have some people take home some hardware this time, right?
And I want to be distinctive, and I want to make an impression, and I want to inspire others, and you know, break the rules a little bit, at least bend them a little bit. Come on.
I feel like you have to as an artist, right? That's how you continue to grow and continue to evolve.
This is how we prove what's possible. You know what I mean? Instead of saying impossible, you say I'm possible.
No, it's the beauty. I think the beauty of being an artist, right, is living in that headspace and saying, what's that next level I can take? I'm so curious. You know, I asked another artist this earlier. Outside of music, what inspires both of you, whether it's film, whether it's going to a museum, whether it's just sitting in nature? What really drives those next levels and that next era as artists?
The textures of
We
life,
just stop being real quick.
the personalities that you encounter, whether they're someone homeless or someone you know you admire. I think there's a character in everybody that inspires somebody else. It's a different textures and different walks of life, and I don't know. It could be anything inspire me, any color, any.
So anything inspires. Okay.
Car, I see a car ride by and I think about a song or a good meal. You know? And we're Southern boys, so you know they drive pretty slow there, so you get a good glimpse of what's coming by.
Everybody that's art. This is a great quote from Andy Warhol that says, "Art is what you need."
Live from the red carpet, the Grammys. All right.
Great.
About to get started here, right?
Call Me is one of my favorite songs. Your album is incredible. And I used to listen to it on
But
repeat.
that's what's going on at the Grammys, man. But anyway, like I said, remember I told you, look at the title. Trump has actually said they're going to prepare for war with Iran. All right?
And to prepare the ground for a meaningful negotiation. And we are working with them. And we are exchanging messages.
Would you say that these talks that are going on right now are fruitful and can
These
lead
talks
to
in the Middle East.
escalation of the situation
All right.
to a point where real talks can take
I
place?
think so far, yes, fruitful.
Things like enrichment, things like ballistic missiles, things like proxy forces in the region. I know that the United States has talked about wanting to negotiate about that as well. Is that completely out of the question?
Iran say we fully agree on no weapons in a nuclear deal. So they say they agree. They keep telling us Iran want a nuke. They're saying we agree to it. Come in, we want to see. All right, this is what Iran is saying.
So that deal is possible. Let's do not talk about impossible things.
What do you think the consequences would be if there was a full-on military confrontation between Iran and the United States? Because I know your military has changed its doctrine, that if there is a major attack, it would be considered existential for the Islamic Republic. What would that mean for the region here?
If war starts, that would be a disaster for everybody. In the previous war, we tried hard to limit the scope of war between Iran and Israel. This time, if it is between Iran and the US, since the US bases are spread all over the region, then inevitably, many parts of the region would be involved, engaged, and that could be very dangerous. Our missiles were tested in a real war last time, and we were able to, understand their problems, their weak points, and their strengths. So we learned many lessons from those 12 days of war, and I think we are now very well prepared. But again, being prepared doesn't mean that we want war. We want to prevent a war.
President Trump said he's also concerned about
Iran said they want to prevent the war. They don't want no war.
That he believes that he prevented hangings from taking place here in Iran. Can you guarantee the rights of those who have been detained and whose cases are being looked into right now?
Of course. First of all, there was no plan for executions or hangings. So there were no plan as such. And right now, I can,
Meantime, Iran's top diplomat says that his country's missile and defense capabilities will not be on the negotiating table. His remarks come as the U.S. builds up its military assets in the region.
Yeah, a U.S. destroyer docked at an Israeli port city on the Red Sea Friday morning, joining other warships in the region.
This, as Iran's foreign minister says,
we can throw another ship out there.
In fair and just nuclear negotiations with Washington. Abbas Araghchi was speaking in Turkey as diplomats from a number of countries try to bring down the tensions.
Donald Trump has been threatening military action in response to Iran's crackdown on nationwide protests, as well as what he says is a lack of progress on nuclear talks. Here's what he said Thursday.
Have you had any conversations with Iran in the last few
Let's
days?
see what Trump
Are
say.
you planning on any?
I have had, and I am planning on it. Yeah. We have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now. And it would be great if we didn't have to use them.
Can you say what the message was that you shared with Iranians?
Well, I told them two things. Number one, no nuclear. And number two, stop killing protesters.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Is it me? How the hell can he say that? bro, all right, you know what? I'm leaving that up to y'all. But I'm like, what? There's no way he said that.
Minister is in Turkey, really trying to figure out
There's
if
no way
Turkey can play some
stop killing
role as a
protesters.
mediator
Like,
to de-escalate tensions. If the Trump administration is to
how
go
many
through
protesters
with
is Ice
some
Cube?
kind of strike, some kind of an attack
How
on
dare
Iran,
you?
just walk us through what some of the options that it's looking at right now are, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think what's clear is that the options have expanded since a couple of weeks ago when the president was facing a similar decision as those protests were raging on the streets of Tehran.
Yeah.
Since then, you've seen this massive military muscle head to the region, spearheaded by the USS Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier group, and all of its ancillary ships and weapons.
Just imagine if somebody could do that for us. I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree so much, but imagine if somebody could do that for us. As soon as we there go, come protesters in, yeah, our ships is outside there. The ships is outside the waters. Like, yo, pull ice up out of Minnesota. That's crazy.
Protests ranging all the way to an attempt to take out the regime and the Ayatollah. You know, this is an enormous set that the president will be contending with. And I think it's evident that he now is coming up to a point where he will have to decide whether there is a window for diplomacy, whether he thinks the Iranians are serious about coming to the negotiating table, or to try and strike at a moment that he and his officials believe that the regime is severely weakened, and certainly he is getting pressure. I think from hardliners in Washington, who say that this kind of moment won't come around again. As the economy in Iran is suffering deeply, as these street protesters demonstrate a degree of unsatisfaction with how the regime has been handling things in Iran, they are suggesting to the president that now is the moment. Now, as we talk to officials, they do describe three conditions that the U.S.
Damn, it seemed a lot like what's going on here. See, they think now is the moment. But see, U.S. and the CIA, we always involved in trying to overthrow motherfuckers. They doing the same thing in Iran.
Enrichment of uranium. You remember President Trump said after he struck the nuclear sites back in June that the nuclear program was obliterated, but still it does seem as if there are still attempts by the Iranians to get that back going. The second condition is to give up its entire ballistic missile program, which is something that experts say Iran will have a very difficult time parting with. And then the third is to end all support for the Iranian proxy groups in the region, you know, Hamas, Hezbollah, all of these groups that have been significantly degraded over the last year or so, but still something that the administration is sort of demanding as they work to.
Now, I think everything is going. I think Iran could agree to everything, but number two, that ballistic missile, like, see, we probably can do everything, but see, it's that ballistic missile in our defense system. Cause see, we got Israel is right over there, y'all way across the water. We won't do the nukes, but you telling us we can't have ballistic freaking missiles? Those aren't nukes. Ballistic missiles aren't nukes. I mean, they're the closest thing to them, but they're not nukes. So come on, man.
laid out the list of demands from the United States. You know this regime so well. They have yet to cave on almost any demands, and they are not ones open for reform, especially the supreme leader. So where do you see this headed? Do you think that a kinetic strike of some sort is inevitable?
Well, thank you for having me. That was interesting, sitting there and listening to all of that. It's hard to see how we get out of this without some sort of American strike. It's not just the demands for Iran to essentially gut its entire foreign and security policy, which is what seems to be required. But I noticed that Trump also mentioned again, which he hadn't for a while, Iran's treatment of its own people, that they have to stop killing their own people. Perhaps he was reminded that he had said help was on the way, and there was no help while the Iranian government mowed down thousands of people in the streets. So it seems very hard for me to imagine how the United States does not conduct some sort of strike.
Like I said, it probably won't no thousands. It probably was just like ICE over here doing. As I said, the nerve of these damn people to sit here and say anything about what they're doing. Come on, man. All of you motherfuckers do
it. It can hit the rubble again, or perhaps some new nuclear sites. But I really don't see how this resolves this 47-year conflict between the United States and Iran. I don't see how it brings down the regime. I don't see how it helps the Iranian people. Perhaps.
Hey, Trump trying to get, this is going to be his push that I'm the greatest peace president ever. Is because his way of looking at peace is actually going in and without, I can go out there and change dictators which we don't want without me actually declaring war. You know what I mean? That's what he ain't slick. All right, that's what he's doing. He is not slick at all. You know what I mean? That's all Trump.
Sort of what you were saying about not really seeing how the U.S. gets out of this without some kind of strike. I mean, what about any kind of diplomatic off-ramp here? We know that the Iranian foreign minister traveled to Turkey for talks about possible ways to de-escalate. We know that President Trump himself said that he would like to have a conversation with Iranian officials. And also just what he said a moment ago, this idea of that Iran wants to make a deal. Isn't there some kind of room at this point for a diplomatic off-ramp, Barbara?
Well, there is if President Trump would scale back some of his demands. He cannot demand that Iran give up its entire civilian nuclear program. He cannot demand that Iran scale back all of its missile bases and that Iran have nothing more to do with regional groups that Iran has partnered with for decades.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you know anything about that's ridiculous, yo. The whole ballistic missile, like, whoa. I ain't saying they got to have anything to reach the U.S., but come on, bro. Everybody got ballistic missiles. You relegating us to Africa. All we got is rocket launchers and machine guns and Humvees and tanks. No. We got to be able to shoot a missile and hit your. Nope. You know.
Russia, for example, in the past, Iran has sent enriched uranium to Russia. Could Iran agree to let the International Atomic Energy Agency come back in and fully monitor these sites? These inspectors have not been there since June. There are possibilities.
They ain't been there since June. When you been to Israel's? You still can't get into Israel's, and they a damn ally.
It's still possible. It's always possible. I mean, how many
balls
can the United States juggle at one time? But I don't see it yet. I hope it emerges because, as I said, I don't think military action is going to resolve these issues.
Tonight, despite rising tensions, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says he's confident his country can reach a deal with the United States on Tehran's nuclear weapons program. He says Iran has lost trust in the U.S., but that exchanging messages through friendly countries in the region has been fruitful. President Trump has increased the U.S. military presence in the region, but has not given any timeline on any possible strike when pressed by reporters.
I certainly can't tell you that, but we do have very big, powerful ships heading in that direction, as you know. I can't tell you, Okay. But I hope they negotiate something that's acceptable.
Saudi Arabia's defense minister reportedly said that if the U.S. backs off the strike, that will only embolden Iran. What's your reaction to that, sir?
Well, some people think that, some people don't. If you could make a negotiated deal that would be satisfactory with no nuclear weapons, they said they should do that, but I don't know that they will, but they are talking to us, seriously talking to us.
CNN's Julia Benbrook joins us now.
Man, like I said, they seriously talking to us. Seriously talking to us, you know. So, hey, man, that is what it is, man. You know what I mean? But next, man, we gonna go to Fox News Live, man, see what's going on over here. A lot of
Apparently
stuff.
not. And I don't want to use too broad a brush, but I worked for a president that deported 3 million people without shooting anyone in the face. So it is possible. And then the fact that these folks, that their faces are covered, I think is a problem. And then the tactics, as we've seen, are one problem on the ground, exacerbated by the White House's just knee-jerk reaction to each of these incidences, which is to forego any kind of results from an investigation and immediately chastise the individuals involved, which is the reason.
Yeah, now we go from talking noise about Tehran. Let's get on what the ICE reporting is.
Enforcement's right now, because calling the person an assassin on the same day that the incident took place, last weekend, as you mentioned, getting that far out ahead of it with that political a response, irrespective of the facts, it creates a rupture with the American people, and that's what we're seeing playing out.
It seemed early on, especially in the case of Alec Peretti, that both Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and Stephen Miller were saying things that they may have believed that would have pleased the president. The president made it very clear he didn't like that.
Right.
And there did seem to be a change of tone after the president said what he had to say. But they're not talking about border incursions. They're not talking right now about people coming into the country. For the last month, we've been talking about Rachel Good and Alex Peretti. That has now replaced their argument about the immigration problem, and the fact that they would come out and say something that when anybody watched the video, they had questions about immediately. Does that damage the White House's credibility on the immigration argument in general?
Well, Tom, I think we do, you make a great point, have to tone down the rhetoric and actually get rid of some of the vitriol around this subject. The president has centered this on a law enforcement operation to remove criminals and folks doing harm that happen to also have an illegal status from American streets. That has to be the focus. I agree, the rhetoric and some of the politics around this, we've got to get rid of that stuff and focus on that. I also would just say that no one does riot control and sort of those types of things better than the Metropolitan Police Department. You brought up DC. But yeah, we've got to go back to law enforcement operations focused on targeted operations, focused on criminal elements in that space, and not attempting to do a local law enforcement function that we've seen happen on the streets of Minnesota.
Okay, we got about a minute left. Midterms coming up later at the end of the year.
To be honest, they said it was targeted.
Democrats learned from the last election to get back some of those voters they lost. And will they now be on a path that is going to connect with voters who turned their back on them in the last election?
Yep, kitchen table affordability. Just go out and say, if you think that the Trump administration's tariffs on lumber from Canada and drywall and concrete from Mexico make housing more affordable, then vote for the Republicans. But they cannot allow the situation we were just discussing to drive the agenda, because every candidate and every campaign has to start with a blank piece of paper, and their opponent's stumbles or weaknesses can't be part of their strategy.
And Tim, we got 30 seconds. The president has said if he loses the House, he's going to get impeached again. Is this White House doing anything to help its Republican?
Well, I totally agree with my colleague. You've got to focus on kitchen table issues. Affordability seems to be that number one issue. I think you point to the good things that Republicans have been able to accomplish, like all the provisions in the One Big Beautiful Bill, and you point to some of the bad things on affordability, like in Virginia, where everything from DoorDash to dry cleaning is being taxed. You look at places like New York, where affordability is not clearly not one of tax. You look at ability, like in Virginia, all that number one issue. I think you point to.
That's a freaking point. I'm telling y'all. Yeah, if you ain't looked up what the new governor in Virginia has done, she can't be able to tell, oh, we gonna run on affordability and can't be able to raise all the taxes they won.
The good things that Republicans have been able to accomplish, like all the provisions in the one big beautiful bill, and you point to some of the bad things on affordability, like in Virginia, where everything from DoorDash to dry cleaning is being taxed. You look at places like New York, where affordability is not clearly not one of the main issues, because everything is just going to go up in price because of the taxes and different issues. So I agree. Kitchen table issues, talking about affordability, you highlight the wins and you point to where Democrats are going to clearly fail on the affordability issue for voters.
I think we just found some agreement. Between the two. Some. Tim Powers, Roger Fisk, we appreciate you joining us on the political panel.
All right.
Over a
Let's
list
get on back to
included in the release
Epstein files.
containing more than a dozen
Yeah, man.
unverified allegations against him. Listen to what President Trump said aboard Air Force One late last night.
But I was told by some very important people that not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, the radical left.
CNN correspondent Julia
said that
Bembrook
absurd.
live at the White House for us. And Julia, how is the administration responding to this list of unverified tips on Trump that was compiled by the FBI?
Yeah, we are hearing from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche about this latest release of documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This release included more than 3 million pages of materials, and among those, more than 182,000 photos and videos. Throughout all of these files, there are several mentions of high-profile figures, and that is not a surprise. We know that Epstein ran in those circles. A CNN review found that President Donald Trump was mentioned more than 1,000 times in various ways, in different contexts. And Blanche was pressed on this in an interview with CNN's Dana Bash earlier today about some of those mentions. And I just want you to take a listen to that exchange.
See what he got to say.
Among these new files is a list compiled by the FBI just in August of numerous salacious and, to be really clear, unverified allegations about President Trump. Why did the FBI create this list last year, and have all of these claims been investigated by the DOJ?
So look, it's not about President Trump. It's about a ton of people, multiple people that were, quote, in the Epstein files. And what I think folks will see when they review the materials we released is that there have been hundreds of calls made to the FBI where allegations are made by either anonymous individuals or people who are very quickly determined to not be.
Your perfect domain is out there. Go to Wix and make it yours.
Corroboration, and that's part of the Epstein files.
And as Dana pointed out there, Trump has denied any wrongdoing related to Epstein, and he has not been accused by law enforcement of involvement in Epstein's crimes. We are seeing all of these documents after an effort on Capitol Hill, a bipartisan effort that pushed for more transparency there. It was led by Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie, and ended up with a nearly unanimous vote for the release. Trump did ultimately sign that bill into law after saying that he didn't think it was necessary to release all of these, that this was not necessarily a step that needed to be taken. But as these files come out, those two lawmakers that I've mentioned, they've said this is a significant step, but they've also said that they still have questions. They have taken issue with some of the deadlines that have been missed, as well as some of the redactions that are in these files. And then also maybe some of the things that should have been redacted, some of the victims' names and questions there. So they're asking to see the unredacted files. They're asking to have more conversations with Blanche. He has said that he is open to that possibility. Brian.
All right, Julia Bembrook for us at the White House. Julia, thank you.
Just like them. That's what they do.
And CNN senior reporter Marshall Cohen, he and his team have been combing through this latest batch of files, as you have been other sets of files as well. So, Marshall, can you just tell us more about what these new photos show and what else stands out to you in yesterday's document drop?
Well, Omar, this was by far the biggest drop we've seen, about 3.5 million pages of material. There were also more than 182,000 images and videos, including those images of Prince Andrew. The Justice Department says this is the final batch that they have coming out, and that they have fully complied with the transparency law that Congress passed last year with near unanimous support, which of course is what forced these disclosures in the first place. So you asked us, what did we learn? Well, according to our review, President Trump was mentioned more than 1,000 times in these documents. You remember, we have known for years that Trump was close personal friends with Jeffrey Epstein in the 80s and 90s before Epstein's state conviction on sex crime charges in 2008. But these documents added a lot of new details about that relationship. We saw notes from an FBI interview in 2021 where one of Epstein's victims said that Epstein's longtime accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, actually brought her to a party in New York and, quote, presented her to Trump, and that Maxwell later made clear that that victim was, quote, available. The woman said to the FBI that nothing ever happened between her and Trump. There also was a spreadsheet that the FBI put together just last year containing uncorroborated, unverified sexual assault claims against Trump. Now, let me be clear, as we always are, Trump said that he cut ties with Epstein in the mid-2000s. He denies wrongdoing, and he has never been accused by law enforcement of any involvement in any of Epstein's offenses. But like you mentioned, other prominent figures did come up in these new Epstein files. There were emails that showed tech billionaire Elon Musk tried to coordinate with Epstein to visit him in the Virgin Islands. Other messages showed that Howard Lutnick, who is now the Commerce Secretary, planned meetings with Epstein long after he claimed that they had stopped speaking. And there were those new pictures of the former Prince Andrew. He was on all fours, leaning over a woman who was lying on the floor. You can see the weird pictures on your screen. What? All of those men deny wrongdoing. None of them have been accused by authorities, Omar, of any crimes, for the record.
And, can we just talk a little bit about the types of files here? I mean, one, I want to ask how the Trump administration is responding to some of these revelations. But a lot of what's in here, use uncorroborated, unverified in some cases. I mean, a lot of this information seems to be coming from like FBI 302 forms, for example. Can you just describe a little bit of the nature of kind of what's emerged here?
Of course. So look, the law, if you read it, it's a very short law. It's like 2 pages long, and it spells out pretty cleanly that the FBI and DOJ must release everything. Now, that would include if some random person calls an FBI tip line and says whatever they want. You can call, you can send in a tip. Just because there's an FBI record of something coming in doesn't mean that it's true. And a lot of those records don't necessarily indicate what the FBI did or didn't do afterwards to corroborate those allegations. So that's some of the stuff that's in the mix. Then there was other material that was very corroborated. A lot of the files from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Remember, she was prosecuted. She was found guilty. Now she's in prison. So some stuff very unvetted, other stuff totally run down and confirmed, but that's the challenging part when they drop 3 million files. And by the way, Omar, I will tell you how the White House and the Trump administration were responding. They were very aggressive in terms of denying any wrongdoing by Trump. And Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche was on the defensive, pushing back against accusations that they tried to shield Trump with redactions. Listen to what he said yesterday.
Yeah.
I can assure that we complied with the statute, we complied with the act, and there is no, we did not protect President Trump, we didn't protect or not protect anybody.
So
we don't believe you, you need more people.
He's drawing the line right there and says that they followed the law. But I will tell you, Omar, there were a lot of lawmakers on Capitol Hill and some of the Epstein survivors who have said that they are still not satisfied with what they're seeing. They are saying this is not over yet.
Yeah. Marshall Cohen, really appreciate the insight and reporting. I know you and your team are on top of it. We'll check back in with you soon. I want to discuss more now with former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. He's also the president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. So, Nima, one, thank you for being here. But look, there's a lot in these files. There are a lot of names as well. What are your takeaways from what we learned in this latest drop?
My biggest takeaway, Omar, is there's a lot of allegations, but of course we know
to actually present a case, doesn't matter whether it's a civil or criminal case, we're going to need witnesses and victims who are willing to come forward and testify. So obviously those tip logs, they're salacious. Marshall talked about it, not corroborated. But what I would be looking for is something that I can actually move a case forward. This is great for the court of public opinion. Everyone's talking about it on social media. But is one of these victims, are they willing to come forward? Are they willing to actually make an accusation, file a lawsuit, testify right now in court? Otherwise, the Epstein files, it's great for public trust and transparency. And I'm glad the DOJ finally appears to at least partially or almost complying with the law, but it's not going to lead to anything, and it's not going to give the victims and the public the justice that they want.
And, you know, when you look at just the sheer volume of files that have been released, and, you know, the files range from a number of different things, as it could be those FBI 302 forms, as we described, sort of memorializing interviews, not so much corroborations, to things that have been a little bit more verified. But one of the big issues here is of course, redactions. I mean, there are survivors detailed here. There are victims detailed here. Multiple survivors have told CNN the DOJ.
Yeah, redactions, just redactions. Then they're going to say, I didn't protect Trump. Man, nobody believe you. You need more people. We don't believe shit y'all talking about.
A logistical standpoint, what do you make of the handling of this release?
The redactions do appear excessive, and I've handled these types of massive document productions. You have pages that are blacked out entirely. And let's be clear.
Look at that whole entire page is gone.
Really, the only thing that should be redacted is information that identifies victims of sex abuse, child pornography. But what Todd Blanche said yesterday was important. He said that they were also redacting documents related to ongoing investigations. I find that hard to believe when the Department of Justice itself in July issued a memorandum saying there's no legal basis to charge any third parties related to the Epstein files. So typically what happens—
Oh, y'all still investigating though. Man, that don't make no damn sense, man.
Log that's provided that identifies the document, the legal basis for the redaction. So if I were a member of the House Oversight Committee, for instance, I would demand that log, and I would take Todd Blanche up on his offer to have members of Congress review the unredacted versions of the documents, because if those redactions are indeed excessive, then maybe Congress should consider filing a lawsuit involving an Article 3 district judge who will review those documents and determine whether the redactions are appropriate and legally sound. And if not, we may get another more detailed release of the Epstein files.
Nima Rahmani, appreciate you being here. Appreciate it.
Man, your boy Trump doing all he can do to protect them daggone things, man. Trying to protect that. Look, man, back at it now, man. We about to get them back to the weather.
Because I don't think folks are, we left it right at the end. Hit it quickly and move on. If you were hoping for a warm-up, I've been saying take it up with the groundhog.
Oh, man, all right.
About it because
let's take a look at what's going on tomorrow.
Doesn't tell us anything good.
As the weather
we move through, call it baseline, at least Valentine's Day, probably this whole month. The signal for a weakening polar vortex, which means that Arctic air can slosh down south. It's a signal for the eastern United States toward well below average temperatures again. So there's the line for average. That's where we think the polar vortex, the weakening below what's considered an average strength, which unlocks that cold air. Cold weather advisories for portions up and down the coastline.
Look at that
These
map.
temperatures with that north wind, you got feels like temperatures right now in Buffalo, 8 below. Just know that as we move through the extended forecasts, there isn't a ton of improvement. We'll be following it for you. Stay with us right here on Fox Weather as we continue to follow the lingering impacts of this powerful nor'easter.
Man, as you see, man, lot going on, man. Lot going on all over the place, man. But I tell you what, man, look, hey, telling y'all, man, look, hey, been great, man, rocking with y'all, man. Gotta get ready to get up out of here, man. Look, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. Keep a lookout, man. Hit that notification bell for your boy. All right? Because, hey, man, you know what I mean? You never know when me and sport is, like I said, sport is in the evening, on the morning, right? You know what I mean? But, yeah, man, look. About to get up out of here, man. Y'all hit the like button if you haven't. Yeah.
You go to Nigeria which is, if not the most corrupt nation in Africa, and it is, it could be the most corrupt nation in the world, Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered. I've been there 25 years ago, and I've been there as recently as last year.
Fine. So what? 35 years old. That's what that nation is. Now, here's America, 226 years old. You love democracy? But there in Africa, you're trying to force these people into a system of government that you just have accepted. 30 years ago, black folk got the right to vote. You're not in any moral position to tell anybody how corrupt they are. You should be quiet and let those of us who know our people go there and help them get out of that condition. But America should keep her mouth shut wherever there's a corrupt regime, as much hell as America has raised on the earth. No, I will not allow America, or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth when you have spilled the blood of human beings. Has Nigeria dropped an atomic bomb and killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have they killed off millions of Native Americans? How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet, because with that much blood on America's hands, you have no right to speak. I will speak because I don't have that blood on my hand. Yes, there's corruption there. Yes, there's mismanagement of resources. Yes, there is abuse. There's abuse in every nation on earth, including this one. So let's not play holy to moralize on them. Let's help them.
I'm not moralizing. I'm asking a question, and I got an answer.
Why would you put it as the most corrupt regime in the world? That doesn't make sense.
Can you think of one more corrupt?
Yeah, I'm living in one. I'm living in one. Yes, you've done a hell of a thing on this earth, so you should not be the one to talk. You should be quiet when it comes to moral condemnation, in my judgment. I didn't mean to be so fiery.
No, that's good. That's good.
That's my passion.
She got a big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Silverback, 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 back, silverback, back, silverback, silverback, and beat on your chest. Big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Silverback, 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 she got a big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest.